The Hub is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
In a little over 4 months, Guam will conduct another election. And while midterm balloting is typically more low-key than a gubernatorial voting year, 2024 promises plenty of intrigue. One race that's sure to draw plenty of attention will unfold as early as the August primary. 3 high-profile candidates are running for the Democratic congressional nomination. Former Delegate Michael San Nicolas, 3-term Senator Amanda Shelton, and businesswoman and former news anchor Ginger Cruz. And there's another intriguing race to watch. Will the Republicans finally win back control of the Guam legislature, long held by the Democrats? But ahead of the excitement, the Guam Election Commission recently held a Help America Vote Day. It's an initiative by the U.S. Election Commission to encourage people to get involved in elections by becoming a poll worker and share information about how to register and cast a vote. Coming up, a conversation with GEC Director Maria Pangelinan right after this.
The Hub is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. The Hub is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Howdy everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Hub. I'm Nestor Lecanto, and this week we have with us Miss Maria Pangelinan, of course, the Executive Director of the Guam Election Commission, and she has some students with her to talk about Help America Vote Day. And I'm going to ask Maria if each of those students with you could just introduce themselves really quick.
Okay, we'll start with Darren.
Hi, everyone. My name is Darren Pangelinan, a graduating senior in the PA 480 Public Administration capstone course.
My name is Parvika Rangulbay. I'm one of the graduating seniors.
And my name is Laxmi Orichiro. I'm also one of the graduating seniors.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. Miss Maria, let me just start with you. Tell us, what is Help America Vote Day all about?
So it started back in 2022 with the United States Election Assistance Commission in their efforts to help election jurisdictions recruit for poll workers. And it also gives election jurisdictions the opportunity to share real, true blue and red facts about the elections and how people could get to register to vote and to vote.
All right. So let me just ask each of the students what prompted you to want to help out. Patricia, let me start with you.
Parvika.
Parvika.
I'm sorry.
No problem. So I was in charge of making sure that our participants will have some sort of food and drinks at the venue. So I was able to get in touch with a couple of food trucks that were able to come in and serve on such short minute notice.
Nestor, what happened was this all started only a week and a day before Tuesday, National Help America Vote Day. We had Commissioner Dan Palmer from the U.S. Election Assistance Commission visiting. We paid a courtesy visit to acting Governor Josh Tenorio. And when the Commissioner Don Palmer pitched it to him, acting Governor Josh Tenorio immediately says, we can have a proclamation. Right after the meeting with our acting governor, our next meeting was with the President, Anita Borja Enriquez, up here at the University of Guam. Commissioner Don Palmer pitched it, and here we are with the UOG spring class, the capstone class. We have 6 in the class. They're graduating seniors. They will be graduating in May. And I just so happened to be called to teach the class because the professor assigned to the class got promoted to an administrative position. So that's why we're here. And Parvika, Darren, Oxy, Jordan, John Paul, and Sidera, 6 of them put the plan and execution together in 1 week and 1 day with the assistance of the Guam Election Commission.
Oh, excellent. So are you guys all going to be volunteers for the upcoming election? And are you guys voters?
Half and half. We're from the outside of the island. I'm from Palau, and some of us are from the FSM. So we're only here for support and encourage the people of Guam to use their votes.
Right. But you can take this back to your home islands too and maybe assist your respective election commissions back home.
Yes.
And I'm gonna make sure they're registered and vote in their election jurisdiction.
All right. So Maria, let's talk about our upcoming election. What is your outlook for campaign for election 2024? I know that in the last meeting you announced that there's a little bit of an increase in the number of voters, primarily through that motor voter registration. What are you expecting in terms of numbers and then projected turnout if you have one?
So, Nestor, you know that historically, gubernatorial elections attract more voters. Did you see how many people picked up packets already? I wonder if I can be super optimistic and say we're going to increase our voter turnout from the 56% we had last time. I never have a prediction, but with the help of my students, we hope to get the 18 to 24-year-olds out and about and ready to vote and come on either early voting or on election day. So really, I have lots of, we're going to put a lot of effort into helping our students get them, the young ones, to come out to vote.
Yeah, and that's really always been the key, right? Is to having the younger ones come out, and then so that in the ensuing elections that there'll be more voters, and then the ones that come up and become of age, they also become voters. But what's been the most difficult part, do you think? And let me ask the students this: what's the most difficult part about attracting young voters to go to the polls? Is it as a lot of people want to say, is it lack of interest, or is it just a competing interest? What do you guys think?
In my opinion, I think that one of the problems that university students and high school graduates face when considering whether or not to get to a polling station during election time is probably the lack of interest or the lack of information that they receive regarding voting. And that's one of the things that we're trying to advocate for recently with Help America Vote Day, the proclamation ceremony, is to advocate for everyone to exercise their right to vote.
Yeah. And what sort of issues resonate with younger voters for, so that the candidates might be able to better gear their messages? What sort of issues resonate most with you folks?
I think the biggest issue that makes people lack of voting is some candidates don't really do their best in doing their rallies or advertising themselves. So people don't have a passion to go out to vote. So if they're doing a better job in doing rallies outside, I think we're going to have a better turnout with votings.
Yeah, I've covered elections on Guam for a long time, and I've seen the change in how politicians are able to reach out. In the early days, in the old days rather, a lot had to do with going out and quote unquote pressing the flesh, going to pocket meetings, going house to house. But with the advent of social media, especially because of the younger generation, that's kind of the way it's been going. Reaching out through social media a lot more. Is that what's do you think most effective for younger voters?
I believe so, because as we can see, some of the new senators elected, they are very active on social media as well as in the community. And I believe that's how they can earn their votes, being active on social media where there are many participants as well as going to school events, public events, school events. That's another way to really get people to vote, as well as the Guam Elections Official Office, extending its parties and recruitment to the public, even to the University of Guam, helping us exercise what we've learned, so we can help the community as well as helping get our voices heard.
Yeah.
So,
And,
yeah, sorry, Mister.
go ahead.
On Tuesday at the ceremony, we had the Student Government Association President of the University of Guam. And we also had the Guam Youth Congress speaker. And I was very impressed, and I'm going to take their invitation to the T in making sure we partner with them to keep this momentum going about getting the young folks out and about and registered to vote and voting. I was at Notre Dame High School this morning for Catholic Schools Week. I asked them, and I've asked my class, is there somebody like a Taylor Swift on Guam? So we can get that seriously, you know? Remember, she got up on the sports stadium, I don't know which ones, and she said, come out and register to vote. If we get a champion like that, and if the students here or somebody tells Pashana Gumatauta or voter registration guru at Guam Election Commission, why don't you use her or him? And we jump on it and say, if that's what's going to get the voters to come out, the young voters, you know, we take a look at it and figure out how to do it.
Yeah, you mentioned Taylor Swift, and she has come to the forefront in this current election. The different political parties are, one is for her and one is sort of saying, "Hey, back off. We don't want all your, your followers voting for one side." So yeah, I mean, a person of the fame and of popularity of Taylor Swift, for example, could. At least in the minds of the people who are reporting, could make a difference in an election. So if there is someone on Guam that has that sort of pull among the youth, maybe a social media, I don't know, a TikToker or whatever that is, that could make a difference. Yeah. What do you guys think? Social media influencers could make a difference?
Social media makes a lot of difference.
It does,
Especially-
but it does, but I understand that social media is a very precarious environment for politicians to be in and people that are running for office, just because sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. So in all honesty, we can't really give advice on social media strategies. It's just maybe if you just give it a shot for all the people that are running in this coming election, there's a good chance that something good may happen.
Yeah. Do you have any advice? What appeals to you? To you guys?
What appeals to you, Oxy?
When you're on social media.
If
Or
a
just
candidate,
something that will really catch my attention, like they really have to post something that will catch my attention, because that's what most young adults really look into. If it doesn't catch our attention, then we won't pay attention to it.
yeah, and that's kind of the nature of the social media, right? You got to catch them. You got to catch them right away. It's kind of like it begs the short attention span. If you don't, like in the news business, if you don't catch them with the lead, you might lose them. So we try to make the most, the best impact in the lead to the story. So yeah, that's a very good point. So something that these candidates might want to keep in mind, that get to the point real quick, and then you'll probably get them have more chance for them to hear the entire message. All right, we got to take a quick break, and I want to come back and talk more with Maria about the upcoming campaign season. But we'll take a short break, and we'll be back with more of The Hub right after this.
The Hub is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. The Hub is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Hub. I'm talking with Miss Maria Pangelinan, who is the Executive Director, of course, of the Guam Election Commission, and some students that are helping her out or who have helped her out with the Help America Vote Day, which was an effort to try and bring people out to help at the polls. And Maria, speaking of that, what's your workload and workforce look like for the upcoming primary election in August? Do you have enough poll workers?
Not yet, but we are geared to hire 335 precinct officials and about, excuse me, 20 temporary full-time employees to help us handle election early voting. We also are looking to hire election assistants for election day to help our precinct officials with those voters that need assistance going in and out of the polling area. So we are reaching out to the political parties to get us to help us with the recruitment efforts. Nestor, something I want to I've talked to I have a conversation with the political parties, and I'm letting them know, you know, here at University of Guam, and we will reach out to the Guam Community College. Here on campus, we have a captive audience. So if we get President Kiona Rivera to help us and do a couple of student activities here and possibly invite candidates to come here, and maybe that will help us. With regard to conducting the election itself, the more young voters get involved with the elections as precinct officials, I believe the more young voters will come and participate in the election. We submitted our request for fiscal year 25 budget. Fiscal year 24 budget covers the primary election of 2024. Fiscal year 25 budget requests will cover the general election. So we continue to work this out. People can already apply for absentee ballots through our website. Voter registrar training is going on. People can register to vote right off our website. They can check what village they're registered in directly off our website. So we're gearing up for it. Nestor, a big reminder. The primary election is now scheduled for the first Saturday of the month, August 3rd, 2024. So our timelines moved up by about 3 weeks. So candidate packets have been available since January. We will start accepting them in April, I believe. I can let you know exactly when. It's on our website. Important dates are on our website too. And that's gec.guam.gov.
Yeah. Maria, how about the actual polling sites? How are you guys doing with that? Are it's going to be in the same familiar places, the schools, and is there enough places for you guys to be able to conduct the polling?
Well, since last year, the commissioners, the 7 commissioners, my bosses, gave us the edict to hurry up and check what other options there are that we can use. Well, it's been one of the smaller villages is Umatak. And we have, challenges there because all we ever use is the Umatak mayor's office, and it's really small and tiny where the poll watchers have to be outside. So we're looking into that. In other places, that we use mostly schools. So this week, we're continuing to explore options, be it private locations, and bring it to the commissioners come February 15th. That's when our next meeting is set. So there may be a change, there may not be. We're also, Nestor, looking into the precinct breakdown. We're looking to see if we want to redesign our precinct so that maybe minimize the number and increase the number of voters per precinct. So we're looking into that. So that will all be discussed in our next meeting on February 15th.
Yeah, and are you seeing any trends toward people voting earlier as opposed to waiting till the actual polling date?
Yes. So that alleviates the long lines on election day. There are quite a few that want to still vote on election day. There were quite a few that voted early. As you may remember, 2022 was only the second time we had early voting. So we benchmarked it from 2022 and we'll see how it grows. And the whole intent of the legislature is to try to increase voter participation.
Yeah, are there any other ideas about increasing voter participation?
We even, Nestor, besides the early vote center, and this time, last time it was at the Westin, we also looked at, we also went to 3 different villages. We went to the northern village of Dededo, we went to the Manilao, and we went to Maleso. So when we did that in 2018, we had a bigger showing. In 2020, I'm sorry, we got a bigger showing in 2020 at the 3 villages than we did in 2022. So maybe with the early vote center in the middle of wherever our procurement takes us, once we set it up, we'll stick to that for now and see if there are any other probabilities that we can do to help. But I have faith in my UOG students that they'll help us get the vote out. Our mayoral candidates seem to get busy earlier. We have some that have already been campaigning. We've seen some signs up across the villages. So hopefully, we hope that they'll drive the voter participation up.
Yeah, I think the motor voter registration has kind of skewed the numbers because, people become registered even though it's not really their intent to do so. It's more or less to get their motor vehicle registered, right? So that kind of skews the numbers. But are you seeing a trend either way of greater voter participation or lesser voter participation over the last few elections?
So we've started looking at the real numbers because of that, because of motor voter. It's it's based on just the real numbers, and that skewed that in and of itself is skewed because we don't know how the actual population has grown, or for us at GEC, what's important is how many people are here on Guam that are eligible to register to vote. We haven't been able to derive at that number. U.S. Census doesn't give us information about who are U.S. citizens and who are U.S. citizens and 18 years old. So looking at the real numbers, I just ran into Gary House yesterday. So hopefully he and I can get together and start talking again about how we can get to this and how we can benchmark it easier so we can forecast these the elections going out.
All right. One last question before I let you go, Ms. Maria. So I think it was last year or the year before, there was a thought that the Democrats might hold a closed primary that was floated. Any update on that? Is that still going to happen, a closed primary for the Democrats?
We had to follow up our correspondence. We sent out a letter early on. That letter normally goes out much later during the election cycle, but we sent that letter out early. The Republican Party responded and said they want to continue to have an open primary. The Democratic Party sent us a note saying, this is what we want. We think we want to close the election, but we need, based on the law, based on the election code, we need to make sure that it shows up on their bylaws. So we sent out a follow-up letter to them to clarify for us and to ask them to submit their bylaws or their resolution on the change of whether, because their current bylaws that we have, that GEC has on file, says they want an open primary election.
Okay, so we shall see. All right, that'll wrap this up for this edition of the Hub. Thank you so much, Ms. Maria Pangelinan, Executive Director of the Guam Election Commission, and her students who helped out on Help America Vote Day. Appreciate your being on the show. I'm Nestor DeCanto. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again next week on the Hub.